Hey guys, Melinda Wilson here. It's time for another of Emerge Physio's pelvic floor mini class series. So today is all about taking the elevator. So what I mean by that is there are times when the pelvic floor doesn't fit nicely into our previous strategies of exhaling and squeezing the pelvic floor and inhaling and letting go of the pelvic floor. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I suggest you go back and review some of the past mini classes, but follow along if you can. But what I mean by that is in real life, there are going to be situations where you still have to squeeze even though you're inhaling. When you're first learning, I try to pair it with your breath so that it makes more sense for you so that you can be successful. But the reality is when you're in an exercise class, and say you're doing core work, or you're holding a plank for a long time, or if you're running, for example, you really do need to be able to control the pelvic floor whether or not you're inhaling or exhaling. So that doesn't mean that you're statically holding it. It's more like you're holding it but with some movement to it or some ebb and some flow to the contraction of the muscle. So I thought we'd give it a try today. Get the basics down of the elevator exercise and then see if we can incorporate it into some core exercises. So if you think of your squeeze of the pelvic floor as kind of a bottom and a top, I like to think of it as like the ground floor of a building and the top floor of a building. So the ground floor of the building means your pelvic floor is doing nothing, it's just nice and quiet. And the top floor of the building is your maximum possible squeeze. So that's what we've been practicing so far. When you're first learning, that's all I'm looking for is your ability to squeeze up. If you're squeezing vaginally, you're lifting up as best you can and trying to get to that top floor and holding, and then inhale as you relax back down. And that's fantastic for building your strength. But for building control, what we need to do is add in some floors. So in this case today, we're going to add in a first floor, which is about a third of the way up. We're going to add in a second floor, which is about 2/3 of the way up. And then, of course, getting to the top floor. The trick will be getting to those individual floors and maintaining the squeeze while you inhale and then exhale your way to the next floor. Okay? So we're going to try this together. Don't worry if you don't get it perfect the first time, but it is one of those things that really does translate very well into exercise. So it's worth it to try, okay? So if we're at the bottom here and the top here, we'll just start by inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. You don't have to hold your hands like I am. I'm just using them for visual reference. You can hold your tummy and your ribs if you want to. Exhale. Good. Make sure you're seated and well supported. I'm on a bolster here, somewhere where you can feel your sit bones in your pelvic floor. So we'll just inhale. And on the exhale, you're going to squeeze up to the top. We're just warming up. And we'll inhale and relax back down. Exhale, up to the top, hold. Inhale, relax back down. 2 more, exhale up. Hold, inhale, relax back down. Last one, exhale up. Good. Inhale. Relax back down. Fantastic. So if that felt okay for you, let's move on to the floor. So how that will work is we're going to inhale and we're going to give a gentle squeeze. You're just going to squeeze about 1/3 or 30% or 1 floor or whatever you want to think of. You're going to hold. Now hold the squeeze as you inhale. A little tricky. It's okay if the pelvic floor drops a little, not a ton. And we're going to exhale and see if you can come up to what feels like the second floor or 2/3 of the way up or about 60%. Maintain that squeeze and inhale. Exhale, see if you can come all the way up to the top. It's okay if you're starting to get tired. Inhale, maintain that squeeze. It's okay if you lose it a tiny bit. Exhale, we're gonna lower down to that second floor. This is the hard part, folks. Inhale, maintain your squeeze. Exhale, come down to floor one. Inhale, exhale, lower down to the bottom. Tricky business. Let's try it again. Breath in, exhale, come up to floor one. This takes a lot of focus. Maintain your squeeze. Inhale, exhale, come up to floor two. Nice. Inhale, exhale, get all the way up to the top. Maintain that squeeze. Good, good, good. Inhale, exhale, we've got this. Lower down to the second tier, Inhale, exhale, come down to floor one. Good, this is tough to talk and do it at the same time. Inhale, exhale, and lower back down. Awesome. I hope that made sense. I hope you got the sense of doing those different floors. The more you practice it, the better you'll get at it. Certainly the way back down is much more challenging because you're having to lengthen the muscles while working. But I do mean it, if you practice this, this will translate into activity very well. So for example, if you're just walking, you do not need a major hard squeeze unless your bladder's super full. If you're walking, you're probably fine with that, first floor type of squeeze. If you're jogging, or if you're doing some quicker movements, maybe you need it too. And if you're doing heavy lifting or CrossFit or anything along those lines, that's when we need the 3. So that way you can be more efficient with the pelvic floor. Right on. Okay, so let's take this into some core exercises. So something that I think can work for most people. Be careful if you have any back issues here. You may want to stay away from it and just stick to the elevators. But if you've been doing core work and your back's moving fairly well, then you can go ahead. So I'm going to switch to kind of more of a V sitting type of position. You can be up on a bolster like me if you want to. If you're already sitting on one, that's great, or if the floor is kind of hard on your bottom. But I want you to be comfortable in this V sit. So I only want you to have your legs up so far that you can maintain a neutral spine. So if you want to sit like me and hold on to your legs, great. If you're gonna come back further or have your legs up and have your arms out, just make sure you can keep yourself nice and neutral instead of curling back this way. You wanna be nice and neutral. But for demo purposes, I'm just gonna kind of stay in neutral here. You do what works for you. You do you. Okay, so we'll start up fairly straight. So in this position, we don't need a lot out of the pelvic floor. But what I am gonna do is take a breath in, and holding very lightly at my legs, I'm just gonna come back into a little bit more of a V sitting position. And at the same time, I'm just squeezing up to about level 1 in my pelvic floor. I'm keeping strong through my deep abdominals. My ribs are tucked in. I'm not flared way, way, way out. I'm just nice and neutral here. Good. So if I'm gonna lean back even further, so let's say you're in a class and you're holding this position, we're gonna take a breath in. Exhale, I'm gonna come back further. So I had to hold, even though I was squeezing, take a breath in and come back further, and I've leveled up to number 2. Okay, so I'm gonna inhale, exhale, reduce the amount that I'm back, come back up, and here I'm back to my 1 of my squeeze. Okay, so taking that at a little bit faster pace, I'm gonna take my hands off of my legs for some more challenge, okay? So I'm gonna take a breath in. Oops, sorry, starting up in neutral. Take a breath in. Exhale, lower back a bit, lift up to level 1 in that pelvic floor. I'm gonna take a breath in while holding. Exhale, lower back, and squeeze up to a 2, keeping my ribs and deep abdominals in control. Inhale at the level 2. Exhale, I'm gonna come back up to a 1. Good, once I'm there, drop back down to a 1, squeeze. Breath in, exhale, come back further, lifting up to a 2. Good, maintain the squeeze, breath in, exhale, come back up, drop down to a 1. Inhale, exhale back, keeping nice and neutral. Got my squeeze nice and strong, not too much excessive effort. Inhale, exhale up to a 1. Good. So that's how we kind of waffled between a 1 and a 2 of that squeeze. So I had a little bit to start, and then it got stronger the more I leaned back. We can kind of do the same for an oblique exercise since we're already here. One of my favorites is kind of the lean back, and we just kind of swing a wing out to the side and then coming back up again. So in this situation, I'm going to inhale, come back to a little bit of a 1. Good. As I'm coming back, right, depending on how much you need. Good. And then I'll exhale and come back up. So you may need a level 2 on the way back up, depending on how difficult this position is for you. Good. So once again, I'm going to inhale, squeeze up to a 1. So we're inhaling as we're squeezing, challenging. And then we're going to exhale to a 2 as we swing back up. Good. Now we'll alternate sides. So we're going to inhale and squeeze up to a 1, come back. Follow your arm, let it sweep like a wing. Exhale as you come back up. We're going to inhale, squeeze up to a 1 in the pelvic floor. Exhale, up to a 2. Inhale to a 1, up to a 2. Inhale to a 1, exhale to a 2, inhale to a 1, exhale to a 2. And there you have it. So I hope that made sense. And I hope that you were able to feel that connection between when you're using it and how much you need it for your own body within a given exercise. So I challenge you to think about when you're exercising for the next week, to think about, do I really need my pelvic floor at a maximum squeeze for this exercise, or do I just need it on a low-lying level? So these core exercises were a little bit of an example, but you can definitely extrapolate the idea and use it in different scenarios in your life. But feel free to send me any messages if you're not sure. This is not an easy concept, but it is important that you know that pelvic floor does sometimes have to work even when you're inhaling. So yeah, send me some comments, messages, anything you like, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But otherwise, I hope you enjoyed your mini class, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys.